Hello there, and then welcome to a brand new video. This is HBN, where we learn maths the easy way. Now, in this video, we are looking at construction of triangles, specifically how to construct triangles when you are given two angles and one side. Two angles and one side. And at this point, I would like to believe that you've gone through all the previous videos and you know how to construct these angles. So to do this, let's quickly look at some questions I have in here. And as we do it, we'll be able to learn along. Now, the first question is you have to construct triangle ABC with with BC being 7 centimeters, then the angle at B being 60 degrees, and the angle at C being what? 45 degrees. So as usual, the first thing we need is our straight line. So I'm going to draw a straight line over here. Let me use a white marker. So this is my straight line, and its measure is supposed to be what? 7 centimeters. So I'll take note of where my B is supposed to be. So this is my B. And then at B now, I'll now use my, what do you call it? My compass to measure 7 centimeters. So I'm going to open my compass to a radius of 7 centimeters. So you can see I'm moving to 7. I've exceeded 7. So I'm going to close that a little bit. And I'm now on my 7 centimeters. So I'll move to the point that I've named as B. And then draw an arc here. That arc will demarcate my what? My C. You see, you can also use a ruler to directly just point that out, and then using the compass is more kind of nice. So I have my B over here. Let me write that my B is here, and then my C is over here, and that's 7 centimeters. And it says at B, let's construct 60 degrees. How do we construct 60 degrees? If you've not gone through the previous videos on construction of angles, you can do that. So to construct 60 degrees, what you do is you draw a semicircle. So this here is my semicircle. See? And with the same radius that I used to draw the semicircle, I'll now stand at this end over here and draw a line, bisect the semicircle I have drawn. And after which I draw a straight line. You see, so we draw a straight line from our point of intersection here through this one. Let me zoom it so that I can see it carefully. So as you can see, we've drawn our semicircle and we stood over here, right? And you draw this arc over here. Now you draw a straight line through the point of intersection. So I'm going to do that. That's what I have, right? And that becomes my 60 degrees. And if I'm to measure it, you would see that it is exactly 60 degrees. So this over here, you see it passes through the angle 60 degrees, right? Okay. So with that done, our next instruction says we should construct 45 degrees at C. 45 degrees at C. So how do we construct 45 degrees? To construct 45 degrees here, we need a semicircle, right? So you open your compass to an appreciable radius, you see, then you draw once again your semicircle. So this is my semicircle I have over here. Then standing at one of the end of the semicircle, open your compass. You see, so you first of all want to construct the 90 degrees, right? So how do we construct our 90 degrees? We do that by what? Opening our compass. So I open my compass and then I'll draw an arc above it. So standing at one point of my compass, right? I'll draw an arc above it. And then with the same radius I used to draw that arc, I stand at this other end, this end over here, right? So standing at this end, I draw another arc and I make sure it passes it intersects the other one. After which, we'll now draw a line towards pass through this point. So from our point C over here, we draw a line, a straight line. This is what I'm going to do. So this is my straight line, and this here is a 90-degree angle. See, so we want to bisect this 90-degree angle I've drawn over here. How do we do that? Once again, with our compass, we stand at this end over here. So we stand at this end, and then you now draw an arc. So I'm going to draw this arc over here. Draw an arc, not to draw an arc over here. And with the same radius, I'll now come and stand over here and draw another arc over here. So this is my arc that I'm drawing. Then once again, I'm going to draw a straight line from this point through the point of intersection. And this time around, we have to make sure it touches this line, right? So drawing my straight line, I'll stand at the point C, then draw my straight line. See, through this point of intersection. So through the point of intersection, and make sure it come and then touch this one. So at this point, let's measure and see if what we've done is correct. So using my protractor, I'm going to measure what I have drawn over here. Let me rotate that. And you can see that it passes through the 45. That is, if I'm using my inner calibration, this is my 40, 50, and then 45 is just at the middle, right? So with that constructed, let me just decrease the zoom in. We continue from there. So we needed the side BC, and then A is going to be here. So I'll just clean this X out since I don't need them. And then put my A over the side A. So at this point, we can put the labels of our angles over there. So here was 60 degrees. Let me put that there. So that is my 60 degree and then 45 degree nicely over there. Now, the remaining question says we have to measure the side AB, A to B. So you take your ruler, and then you do what? You measure that side. So from my B, I now measure this side over here. And looking at my measurements, I think I have 5.1. 5.1 exactly. So 5.1 is my measure for 5.1 centimeters. Is my measure for side AB. Then the next one says, what is the measure of the angle at A? That is BAC. If I want the measure of my angle, I'm still going to use my protractor, right? And this time around, it appears I'm going to use my outer calibration. So starting from 0 over here, we have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. You can see it right in between 70 and 80. That is 75 degrees. So my angle over here is going to be what? 75 degree angle. And you can see it even satisfies the fact that the sum of interior angles of a triangle is supposed to be 180. Because 75 plus 45 plus 60 gives us what? 100. So that is it for this first one. I think we've wasted a lot of time on this. So looking at our second question, I would be brief about it. Now in this question here, it says you have to construct triangle PQR with PQ being 5 centimeters and then the angle at Q 30 and that on E being 75. So let's quickly go into it. So first of all, we need a straight line as always. So this is my straight line over here. Then with this straight line, I'm going to label my initial point P. So I have P over here. And then I measure 5 centimeters towards Q. So this here is my compass open to 5 centimeters. Then I take note of where my Q is. So you just draw an arc, a very, very short arc over there. Now with that done, I label it as what? Kill. Then put my 5 this down here. Now it says you have to construct angle 30 degrees at kill over here. So to construct 30 degrees, we all know how to do that. If you don't, you can quickly look at my previous video on construction of angles. So we stand at our kill, then you draw your what? In this case, our semicircle. So with our semicircle, we use the same radius of the semicircle. Stand over here, and we draw an arc to touch the semicircle. That we have done now is an angle 60 degrees. See, so we bisect this angle. So once again, we stand at where we drew our intersection, and then you draw an arc above. See, and then you stand with the same radius at this new point over here, the end of the semicircle over here, and then you now draw another arc to bisect the previous one you've done. After which, you now draw a straight line through the point of intersection. So I'll draw a straight line from here. Make sure it passes through my point of intersection. So use a ruler for that. This is my straight line through the point of intersection. So this is my point of intersection through it. Okay. Now, if you're able to do that, you can take your protractor to measure to see if what you did was really correct. So I put my protractor here, and as you can see, it passes through the 30 degree, right? Okay. Now we have to construct angle 75 degrees on P. How do you construct 75 degrees? To construct angle 75 degrees, you first of all need to construct 90 degrees and also construct 60 degrees. And then you bisect the 90 and then the 60. All right. So let's quickly construct 90 degrees. Since we all know how to do it, I'll just pause, quickly do it, and then we continue from there. So this here is my 90 I have what? Constructed. So with our 90 degree constructed now, we need to construct the 75 degrees. See? So as I said earlier on, to construct 75, you need your 60. And if you get your 60, you bisect from the 90 and then the 60. So initially, whilst getting the 90, we should have just gotten our 65 over there. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, you see, to get 60, it is the same radius we use to get this semicircle that we need to get to the 60. So this is the same radius I used. So I come back here and then now get my 60, the mark of 60 over there. So I put that mark over there. And that is my 60 degrees. See, just as we did over here. So if you have your 60 now, you now want to bisect this angle and then this angle over here. We want to bisect this line and this line. How or why do we even want to do that? Let me give you an illustration over here. If I put my protractor over here and you look at it carefully, you see where the 60 passes? This here. This here is the 60 we have just drawn. Now, in between 90 and 60, which is this over here, that is where you have your 75. You see, it is in between. It is right in between. That is why we want to bisect. See, so that is what we want. So in our bisection now, we stand at this point, draw an arc. We stand at this point and draw an arc. Then we draw a line through it. So at this point, you can pause the video and do it yourself and see. So if you paused and you were able to do it, that's fine. Now, this is my arc over here. Standing at this point, this is going to be my arc over here. You see? And standing at this point now, this here is going to be my arc. I draw my arc over here. See? Then the point of intersection of these two lines where I'm going to draw this. Do not be confused by this one over here. That one was for the 90 degrees. So then we come here and then draw a straight line through the point of intersection, this one here. want to draw it through that. So I'm going to draw this straight line through that, through this point here. And then just make sure it touches this one. All right. If you are done, you try your measurement and see if what you have done is true. So with my protractor here, now try and see. Now look at the line. Look at this line. This is 70, this is 80, and then it's through that, right? So that is my 75 degrees over there. So that is how we construct 75 degree. You can put your angles measure of your 75. So then that now becomes, I think, your R. Let's zoom out and see what letter we're asked to put there. So PQ, and then our R is going to be here. Right. Now it says we should measure QR. We should measure QR. So we take our ruler, and then with my 0 at Q, with my 0 at R, we can then do our measurement. And I think that is going to be my 5.1. Then my measurement, I'm getting 5.1. So you can also measure yours, and then let me know at the comment section. 5.1 20. That is all. Now it says we have to classify this by angle. Looking at the angle, we have 75, 30, and then another angle here. But you see, they are all not the same. And since they are not the same, then it's certainly going to be a scale angle, right? So that is it for this particular question. I do have one last question I would like to do in this video, but because the time has been fast spent, you can do it on your own. You can pause, look at this question, and then you do it on your own, right? So nevertheless, there are some questions here you can also try your hands on, right? I just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 questions. Just 6 questions. My numbering might be mistaken. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. So try these ones on your own, and then let me know if you're able to do them. Thanks for staying till this time, and I do hope you understand. Now, in our next session, we'll be looking at how to construct locus, right? How to construct locus. If this is your first time here, this is How Beyond Numbers, and if it was helpful to you, subscribe so that anytime I release math-related content, you'd always be notified. Thank you and stay blessed.